pages felt like stone tablets, cold and unyielding. You have sat in silence, listening so intently that your very soul ached with the strain, only to be met with a cosmic quiet so profound it feels like abandonment. You have whispered, "Why won't you speak to me?" And the echo of your own voice has been your only reply. This silence is not your failure. It is not his absence. It is, in fact, the most profound evidence that you have been selected for an upgrade that your current spiritual vocabulary cannot yet articulate. God's silence is not the void of his neglect. It is the sacred space of his most intensive preparation. While you have interpreted the quiet as distance, heaven has been in a frenzy of activity on your behalf, constructing a new reality in the unseen that would collapse under the weight of premature explanation. His silence is the sound of divine engineering. You are not being ignored, you're being rebuilt from the foundation up, and the architect does not offer commentary to the materials while the blueprint is being executed. This season of divine muteness is the necessary decompression chamber between who you were and who you must become to contain what is coming. The familiar, comforting voice of guidance you once knew had to recede because you have outgrown its frequency. That voice spoke to the person you were, the one who could handle yesterday's portion, yesterday's battle, yesterday's blessing. The new you, the one being forged in this fire of silence, requires a new channel of communication. God is not giving you the silent treatment. He is performing spiritual throat surgery. He is enlarging your capacity to hear not just his words, but his heart. He is calibrating your spirit to frequencies of revelation that would have shattered your old understanding. The silence, therefore, is the sound of old receivers being dismantled and eternal antennas being installed. You are being transitioned from hearing sermons to hearing symphonies, from receiving instructions to downloading kingdoms. Consider what this holy silence is actively preparing within you. In seasons of clear communication, your faith is reactive. You hear, you obey. It is beautiful, but it is spiritual adolescence. In the silence, your faith becomes proactive. Without the immediate comfort of his audible direction, you are forced to stand on the last word he spoke, to lean into the character you know he has, to move in alignment with principles rather than prompts. This develops a fortitude that cannot be cultivated in seasons of constant confirmation. You are learning to walk not by sight nor by clear sound, but by the deep, unshakable knowing of a child who recognizes their father's nature even in the dark. This muscle will be the very thing that sustains you when you lead in realms where no one has gone before you to give advice. Anyone can praise God when the manna falls daily and the pillar of fire is visible. But the story that will shake nations and dismantle generational strongholds is forged in the seasons when the manna ceased and the fire cloud vanished. Your testimony of, "He never spoke, yet I never doubted his goodness," carries more spiritual authority than 1,000 testimonies of miraculous words. This silence is writing a unique chapter in your life that will become a master key for others locked in their own prisons of quiet. God is authoring a narrative in your spirit that is not dependent on sensory experience. creating in you a credibility that is utterly unshakable. A vessel that only receives is a reservoir. A vessel that receives and releases is a river. God is teaching you to draw from the well of His being rather than the fountain of His speaking. In this process, you are being filled with a substance, His character, His wisdom, His nature, so that when He finally does speak again, His words will not just come to you, they will flow through you with a weight and a creative power you have never known. His silence is filling you with Himself, so that your future words will carry the generative power of Logos, not just the information of Rima. You are being prepared to speak to dry bones and see armies rise, and such authority is not born in the chatty places, but in the silent crypts of surrendered souls. While you fret over the quiet in your prayer closet, heaven's bulldozers are at work in your reality. That closed door? It wasn't your answer. It was a wall being demolished from the other side. That lost opportunity? It wasn't a denial. It was a divine evacuation of a space too small for your destiny. God's silence often coincides with His most aggressive activity in the unseen realms. Legal grounds are being overturned. Oppositional forces are being strategically scattered. Resources are being reallocated from the four corners of the earth. The delay you perceive is actually a divine synchronization, as heaven orchestrates every player, every resource, and every condition necessary for your arrival. He is silent to you because He is so loudly commanding the universe to align for your sake. There is a dimension of relationship that transcends dialogue. It is called union. A husband and wife of 50 years can sit in perfect silence, not because they have nothing to say, but because they have become so intertwined that communication happens at the level of presence, not sound. God is drawing you into this union. The silence is an invitation beyond friendship into bridal intimacy, where you know as you are known. He is weaning you off the milk of His audible voice to feed you the solid food of His manifest presence. In this silence, you are not learning about Him, you are learning Him, and this knowing will become the bedrock of your existence long after specific words have faded. Blessed are you who have endured the holy quiet, for you shall inherit a revelation that cannot be taught, only caught in the vacuum of God's apparent absence. Blessed are your ears that strain, yet hear nothing, for they are being tuned to frequencies that govern principalities and powers. Blessed is your heart that remains faithful when the romance of felt presence has faded, for you are being promoted from servant to friend, from follower to co-heir. Do not beg for the old voice. Do not mourn the season of clear confirmation. You are not going backwards to what was. You are being thrust forward into what has never been. The silence is your gestation period. The pressure you feel is not the suffocation of abandonment, but the sacred squeeze of birth. So stand still in the quiet. Stop straining to hear a whisper. Start worshipping in the void. Let your faith fill the silence with a fragrance so pleasing that it becomes the very atmosphere from which your new reality emerges. For the day is coming, and soon, when the silence will break with a sound you have never heard before. It will be the sound of 1,000 pages turning in your story at once. It will be the roar of every delayed promise converging on this present moment. It will be the gentle, thunderous voice of your Father saying, "Now, beloved, you are ready, for what I have prepared for you requires the capacity that only this." The construction in the silence is nearly complete. The final bricks of your character are being set. The last connections of your destiny are being wired. Do not despise the quiet. It is the sound of a kingdom being built inside you. And when it emerges, it will be with a shout that leaves no doubt. The silence was never empty. It was full of God. You have